Hello and welcome to another episode of Tesseract Talks, the place where we put the spotlight on tech trends. I'm your host, Marko, the founder and CEO of Tesseract Analytics, and today we're joined by Jeff Sundheim, AI business strategist at Google. He has developed background in sales and data-driven marketing, a frequent public speaker covering broad range of topics from AI for the greater good to personalization at a scale, and has been working with the world's largest brands for the most of his career. Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Marko. Great and doing well and glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Great. So, Jeff, let's start by you sharing a bit about your background for the audience and what led you into AI strategy at Google.
Well, great. This could be a long story, but I'll make it brief. So I've been doing and focused on advertising and art since I was a little kid. I was sending ad concepts to Madison Avenue and large brands as a 10-year-old. And they would write these polite letters back saying, this thank you for giving your ideas for Kellogg's, but, we'll catch you later. We have our own ad agency. So I've been doing that as just a little kid and drawing caricatures at parties as a teenager and in college and so on as a way to make extra money. So I've been doing art and advertising forever, it seems. My early career at Apple, I was doing marketing and advertising focus there and then in publishing as well. And I've been at Google for 18 years. Okay, so you might say 18 years at Google, that's a long time, but really, have you ever seen the movie 50 First Dates? It's like that. 18 first years at Google. And I've been focused all that time on how technology can impact and make more compelling creative. And of course, 18 years ago, that was much different than it is today. Today, we have AI, which is the most perfect way to leverage a lot of data and insights to make compelling creative and really personalized creative. So that's sort of where I've come from. And as I said, I'm an artist. So that's a sculpture that I've been working on and did recently.
So there's been a lot of talk about the threat that AI possesses to creativity. As a marketer and an artist, what's your take on this?
That's a really good question. It's an age-old question, actually, about that intersection of art and technology. So I mentioned the sculpture in the background. So about 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greeks and Romans developed this technology, this contraption to be able to take a sculpture and basically replicate it. And back in the Renaissance period, they've refined that. So they made what they called a pointing machine, which allowed Michelangelo and all his counterparts, because you see Michelangelo's works, so many of them in Italy, and you see a lot of these major sculptures. How could they do all that work? What they actually did was they made a model, and then they would have their apprentices do a lot of the hard work to get close to the actual piece. So for instance, with this sculpture in the background that I did a few years ago, of course, I did all that. I don't have a lot of apprentices helping me, but the pointing machine helps in sort of scaling sculpture for artists. That's an early example of it. 200 years ago when photography was first invented, everybody was concerned, is photography going to take away all this photorealistic art? And in reality, photography led to a whole new range of art. No longer did artists feel like they had to do photorealistic work. They could led to cubism and expressionism and so on. So impressionism, excuse me. So it really, same with AI specifically, it is going to give us tools to be able to do incredible work. It's already giving us tools. I saw a video last week. If anybody saw the release of Nano Banana Pro this past week, basically saw a movie that was an animated movie that was short, that was made. Normally it would take 4 to 6 weeks to do that. Now with this technology, it took 6 days. That means that somebody super creative using this tool they've reclaimed 3 to 5 weeks, and now they can use that to create more cool things rather than using that time to create one. So it's giving creatives tremendous tools and allowing them to be far more effective and create great things and do more of it. Long answer. So,
And I mean, maybe I have one more question, which is kind of related. And as There is a lot of worry about AI taking jobs. Curious to get your thoughts since Google pioneered transformer technology, which effectively set the chain of events in motion, leading to where we are now.
Yeah. So I think whether you're 18 or 80, everybody's got this question, okay, is is AI going to take jobs and so on? And I think that basically it's a new level playing field, okay? And everyone has basically the same tools now. It's really democratizing, just like the printing press 400 years ago did that. So there's probably I think that's probably the most important thing to take away. So everybody's got the same tools. So who is the most skilled at using those tools? That's going to be the real issue. The Wharton School did a study recently and looked at and asked marketers specifically, what are you looking for and what are the things that are going to hold you back from adopting AI? And 49% said it's finding the right skilled workforce who are skilled in AI. Okay. And 46% said it's upscaling the workers we have. So the basic takeaway there is having people who have really great skill sets in AI. So people who can collaborate with AI, that's a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. I speak at universities a lot, and a lot of students are asking, they're concerned, does this mean I'm not going to have a job coming out of school? Far from it. These digitally native students, they're the ones who possess the skills. And if they just really lean in and focus on learning and being super skilled at AI, they're going to have tremendous opportunity.
And what are some of the key areas the AI can and should be used in marketing today?
Well, I think first off, in digital marketing, we've relied for the past 25 years on three levers. Okay. Those levers are targeting, bidding, and creative. And creative's sort of the last lost lever, I like to say, because a lot of folks over the years have been focusing on targeting and bidding, but now that has become so automated that really you've got to let the algorithm take care of those, because I don't think anybody's going to do that as well as the automated tools. But the last lost lever is this creative. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity with AI using insights to develop and test and come up with a lot of different creatives and using data and insights to make personalized creative. So being able to come up with different, maybe in the past you had 2 ad concepts. Now you've got 25,000 different ad concepts, depending on where the user is, what time of day it is, what types of behavior they've had, and to develop those different types of creatives. I think the biggest thing is then to be able to use that in a test and learn framework to be able to see which creative is doing really well. So you've got the opportunity now, like when I first got into advertising, the creative director, the copywriter, they would maybe come up with 10 great ideas for a client. And then maybe 2 of those ideas actually went to the client because they knew that, the client's got these perspectives and these 2 are the only ones who are going to sell. And then the client may have chosen one based on whatever. It might have been their mother-in-law's favorite color. Okay. And that's the concept that actually went out. Now we've got the possibility of where all 10 concepts, if they're really good, we can test all of those concepts, no matter who created them. It might have been of an intern who was in the office, was working in the copywriting area, and he or she will have their concept tested as well. Now we can test all those concepts. And you know what? There's no one winner anymore. There might be 10 winners, okay? Because one winner works for women 18 to 24 in Hamburg between midnight and 3 a.m. Another winning creative works for a woman 18, maybe 30 to 35 in Phoenix, Arizona in the early morning hours. And all of a sudden we have the opportunity to have a lot of exemplary creative and to be able to track and see what's doing well and what's not. It's a completely new era. And then you can build on that. Once we see what creatives are working well and what messaging is working well, then we can build more of those creatives. And that's, I think you can apply that to most everything in life right now, is being able to optimize and improve and constantly test.
Great. And on that same kind of direction, can you tell us what are some key trends or technology shifts in marketing specifically that you think will have the greatest impact on AI strategy over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think the same sort of thing that we've got. First off, we've got in the past with digital marketing, you really had to be excellent at SEO and SEM, okay? Because it was the search engine, that was everything. And so that's how you were able to market, and you focused all your efforts on really optimizing that. Now, instead of having just a search engine, there's a search engine, there's an answer engine, okay, with all these LLMs. And then we've got all these influencers, these creators, excuse me. And so as a marketer, you've got to try to figure out how to best work and optimize to these three different pillars, if you will. And so the ability using AI to figure out, first off, which creator, which influencer might be the best for your product or service or for a specific demographic or persona. So being able to take all this into account, that's a tremendous amount to analyze and to try to optimize. But now with all these tools, that's available. Same thing with answer engines. Instead of just having to work primarily with, Google in the past and trying to optimize to that, now we've got a bunch of different answer engines, and you're trying to think of how do I optimize? How do I make sure that I'm creating and driving traffic using these various answer engines? That's a big, big challenge. This is why I say that for really sharp folks who understand where AI is going, the tools, the challenges, this has never been a better opportunity for those folks. And so I think really when we look back at this period, we're going to say, this was a period of intense job creation. Now the jobs are changing, but that's a big, and this is what I talk to a lot. And, these questions are questions that as I speak around the world to whether it be colleges and universities or at conferences, I'm speaking at the Stockholm Tech Show this spring, this is what folks want to understand. What's going to be my future in AI? How can I distinguish myself? What are the key trends? And how do I take this new technology and really build on it? And I think that really the key takeaway is if you are really enthusiastic and you dive in and you become better, more facile at using the technology than anybody else, I think that's really key. I think an important thing to think about, especially after the pandemic, is whether you're, once again, 18 or 80, a lot of folks have been accustomed to working in a solitary sort of, system, if you will. They're working on their own. And I think it's really important with AI that people develop work groups, if you will. So they're not just developing AI and different solutions on their own, but they're working with one another. I was speaking at a university last week and encouraging students to develop work groups where they're all sort of seeing how each other are leveraging and doing prompts and so on. It's just like art. I work sometimes in a studio with other painters, other sculptors, and you get to see all the great things they're doing, the types of materials they're using, the different approaches they're using. And I think with AI, that's the same thing. I think it's too easy for everybody to get in their own well, if you will, and just think in their own echo chamber. And really the opportunity is to get out and to work with others, see how others are using AI. And that's when I think when I'm speaking, a lot of people understand and realize that's the way they need to level up their skills and also learn from one another.
So we're all becoming artists in a way with AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're able to, it's funny. I talked about as a 10-year-old, I was doing ad concepts. Okay. And they were just pencil and paper. And, the Madison Avenue agencies were like, oh, that's cute. That's fun. But now as a 10-year-old with all these new tools that are coming out, a 10-year-old can make an incredible 30-second, 60-second, you name it, ad that really deserves to be tested. Okay. So that 10-year-old could have a fresh take on, running shoes, breakfast cereal, you name it, whatever their favorite brand is. This gives 10-year-olds or 90-year-olds the ability, the creative tools to be able to express themselves and do it in a way that, is super distinguished from everybody else that's doing it. When I was a kid, everybody was concerned, oh my God, you're spending too much time in front of the TV. That's going to dumb you down. Now they say kids are working with AI. It's going to dumb down their creative. I think just the opposite. But as long as they're working with one another, as long as they're just not sitting in front of the computer themselves, if they're working in a group and the challenge is take a brand that you love and then do a 30-second commercial about that brand. How cool would that be to have kids coming together and one does a commercial for Nikes, one does a commercial for whatever their favorite brand is, that's the kind of imagination. And for kids to be able to all of a sudden see this is going to be whether, these kids are going to be able to disintermediate the current structure of, ad agencies and whatever. There's never been a more exciting time in marketing or just in tech. That's just my personal.
For leaders and builders listening, what's the best way to stay ahead of the curve with AI developments and ensure they're preparing their organizations for what's coming next?
Wow. Okay. So that's a really good question. I think there's some key things here. And when I speak about AI, a lot of times people are like saying, what should my AI strategy be? And really it needs to be, what is my strategy that AI can enable? So it really needs to be really focus on your strategy. And a lot of it comes down to knowing your customers. Okay. Now we've got a lot more tools than ever to know our customers with all sorts of AI, predictive modeling, and so on. So know your customer better than your competition knows your customer. So that's number one. And then once we know that, to be able to figure out ways to using AI to make our services or our products as compelling as possible to our customers, and then finding new customers. It's almost like those truffle hunting dogs. We talk about Croatia and especially in Istria, where I love in Croatia, it's truffle land, and they give the whether it's truffle hunting dogs or boar or whatever, they give them the scent, and then they go out and they are focused on getting that scent. Same thing with AI and your customer. You know your best customers. If you really understand your best customers, then you feed that to AI and you basically say, go find me more of these best customers. Okay. And then let's build from there. So if you keep those core foundational focuses in mind, knowing your best customers, who they are, and then finding more and doing those things better than your competitor, and then looking for tools, AI tools and methods, and just it's building your organization too, building the capabilities, the processes in-house to be able to do that better than anybody else. I think it really comes down to focusing, understanding your business, and then looking and being aware of tools, and always be open to learning about what types of tools, what are people doing, what are people in my organization or other people I'm interviewing, what are they using to do these tasks that I'm doing.
I think I'll definitely remember the truffle hunting now and correlate the process. Okay, I'm going for those truffles.
It's real. AI has given us a way to understand, just analyze so much more and to test so much more. If you're focused on data, which of course we are at Google, I've been doing that for 18 years now. You've got a wealth of information out to choose from to make the most impactful, creative, and to really be able to understand what makes customers tick, and hopefully really chime in and zero in on what makes customers most enthusiastic.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for coming to the show and sharing these valuable insights on AI. I think both myself and the audience will be a bit more optimistic about AI in general after hearing this.
Well, there's a lot to be optimistic about.
Yeah. If you listen only to mainstream media, people might get concerned, but in reality, it's very exciting times, full of opportunities. And thanks, Jeff, for telling us about that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and hope to see you again on another episode of Tesseract Talks in future. Bye.
Bye-bye.